The special interests that are asking you to vote for issue number 4 on this November's ballot, tort reform, one of their arguments is that lawyers like me, medical malpractice lawyers, man, we're just sue happy. We just love suing doctors and hospitals all the time. And the cases that we file are frivolous, that they don't have merit, and that they're just nuisances. And as a result of my work, what I do is clog up the system and just drive insurance rates up and things like that. That sounds good. And again, I know everybody doesn't like lawyers. You know, lawyers are an easy target. But let me tell you the real story. And you can get this from me. I'm a medical malpractice lawyer. I actually do this work. I'm the guy that they're talking about. But what they're saying about me is not really right. So think about it. If you sat on a jury and it was a medical malpractice case and you heard the evidence and you could tell pretty quickly, this doesn't sound like a real case. This sounds like a case that does not have merit. It sounds like a frivolous lawsuit. But you saw me over there really trying to marshal the evidence and argue for my client and so on. Would you vote for me if you were convinced that it was not that it was a frivolous case, that it didn't have merit? No, you would not. And lawyers like me know that. Ultimately, the measuring stick is what would a jury think. And if a jury of normal, right-thinking Arkansans wouldn't vote for me, then I don't take that case. Frivolous cases get weeded out very easily by experienced lawyers. The fact is, let me give you an example of how my office operates. Again, I do this work. I'm a medical malpractice lawyer. My staff tells me that a couple of years ago I reviewed 1,100 cases. That means families came to me and they say, hey, you know, my husband was seriously injured as a result of medical malpractice. He's in a wheelchair now. He has to catheterize himself multiple times a day just to urinate because he's paralyzed from the neck down. Mark, will you please review the records and tell us if the doctors did anything wrong? Can you tell us if we have a real medical malpractice case? And so I agree. This is what I do. I get the medical records. I review them. I go page by page. Oftentimes I have to consult with an expensive medical expert to give me professional advice. If we have a case, we go forward. Most of the time, I send those poor families away and I explain to them that they actually don't have a case that I can prove in court. So I told you, a couple of years ago, I had 1,100 cases that I reviewed like that. You know how many I took? How many cases that I actually signed up and then filed in court? Maybe about 10. If my capture rate is that low, what does that tell you? What it should tell you, and what it should tell the insurance companies and the nursing home companies and the hospital corporations, if they were really listening to the facts, it would tell them that, you know, I actually weed out the frivolous cases and cast them aside and send those families away. I only take the good cases, the one that's truly, obviously has merit. I review hundreds and hundreds of cases each year, but I take just a small handful. That should tell you that there's really not a problem with frivolous lawsuits, and it should tell you that lawyers like me are not sue happy. The fact is, I represent people who have been hurt badly, some of the worst injuries that you can have, paralyzed people, people that are deceased, children with disfigurements. I represent the family of an 18-year-old son that died. These are people that have legitimate cases and real damages where negligence happened. And guess what? I've convinced juries of this. I've convinced insurance companies on the other side of my cases to settle these cases. Why? Because they know that they have merit. I don't take frivolous cases. Very few lawyers take frivolous cases. And as a result, this whole argument that the proponents of issue 4 or this argument that they're making, it's just not accurate. Don't believe them.